Đura, the time traveler.
And I'm Kronos, the god of time.
And this is my lifestyle time travel blog. And today we are talking about some bizarre Roman goddesses. Romans had gods and goddesses for almost everything, even some weird things that you wouldn't even think of. So this is a list of some of the most bizarre Roman goddesses.
Let's say uncommon.
Let's say unusual.
Yes, bizarre, unusual, uncommon. You name it. Well, our first candidate for today is Cardea. She was the goddess of hinges, believe it or not, and by her divine power she closes what is open and opens what is closed.
She's like a magician, Harry.
And her main job was to prevent evil spirits from crossing the thresholds.
And that is an important job.
And also she protected children, especially from blood-sucking creatures such as striges.
And her name actually means a hinge in Latin. And the name for a door hinge is cardos, so everything is connected. And when you dissect a bit this story, you see that actually it's not that bizarre as it sounds in the beginning. Because she is the one who is holding the door together, and the door is actually setting a boundary, a limit between the outside world and the house.
She was actually the creator of the famous sentence, "You shall not pass!"
She's confused with Carna, the protector of the vital parts of human body and human health.
Carnal like meat, you mean?
Yes, carno carnis in Latin. Actually, the power to ward off striges Cardea got from Janus, and he was her suitor, but he didn't treat her really nicely. So
it was some sort of compensation.
yes, he gave her the white thorn, and that was used to ward off those creatures. And do you know who are striges?
I don't know her.
Striges were blood-sucking, vampire-like winged creatures who entered the house and sucked the blood of babies.
Oh my god, that's awful.
And that is the reason why Cardea is really important. So, striges had large heads, they had wings, white wings, prominent eyes, and strong beaks.
So they were like harpies in some mutation of harpies.
Yes, that's a version of harpy, but harpy is in Greek mythology.
Oh yeah.
And their talons were like hooks.
Also like streaks, like an owl.
Yes, because that was the bird of a bad omen.
And our next goddess is Cloacina. She was the protector of sewage system in the ancient Rome. And she was especially in charge of Cloaca Maxima, the greatest sewer outlet in ancient Rome.
Yes, and it can be seen even today going into Tiber River.
The sewer queen.
April O'Neil.
And she also protected the people who maintained the sewer.
And she was an ancient goddess, probably of Etruscan origin. And there is one extremely interesting story about Cloacina. Do you know that she was there when the Rome was founded?
So she was waiting for poop to happen.
Yes, and she witnessed every single poop, every poop in Roman history.
You go, Cloacina.
One of the first events in the history of Rome was the war with the Sabines and the peace with Sabines.
Oh.
And that peace was marked by the shrine of Cloacina on the Roman Forum next to a small stream that was later covered and became the Cloaca Maxima.
Oh, she was a peacemaker.
There was actually a cleansing ritual that happened. So by the stream that is really convenient and Cloacina is there, she witnessed it.
Let's cleanse from all the feces inside of us and make peace.
Yes, all the bad thoughts and all the hostility. And Titus Statius, the king of Sabines, erected the statue of Cloacina at that spot.
Wonderful.
Later, she was identified with Venus, so she became Venus Cloacina. And the shrine was a bit bigger, but still it was small and it was in the open air, it wasn't covered. It was like a pedestal with a banister, and in the middle there were two statues, two female statues. One was yes, and Cloacina. And that is also depicted on a coin.
And now we have another exotic goddess. Her name is Deverra. She is the goddess of brooms, used to purify the temples before any rituals and sacrifices, but she also protected children and mothers from wild forest spirits.
She was a part of a baby protecting trio together with Interkidona and the god Picumnus. Interkidona and Picumnus, Interkidona and Picumnus, Interkidona and Picumnus. And their power was invoked the night after the baby was born.
So they were like ghostbusters of the ancient Rome.
Actually, the three men which were involved in the ritual were the ghostbusters, and these gods were the protectors.
Okay.
And this ritual was conducted in the house, because the house was the boundary between the wild and the tamed, between the culture that was man-made, man-created, and the wild nature. So each of these gods that were invoked for the protection were responsible for one of the props used during the ritual. The goddess Interkidona was the goddess of falling trees and shaping timber, and Picumnus was the protector of children.
And here's an exclusive footage of the ritual. And now we have another goddess called Fornax. She was actually a personification of an oven, and she was also protector of bakers and bread. And she was invoked to prevent bread from burning. And she was celebrated during Fornacalia, the festival of ovens.
This was a multi-day movable festival during February, and it was celebrated by the Curiae. And Curiae were the original organization in Rome. It was 30 neighboring families, and they had their own division. So every Roman citizen is believed to come from one of those Curiae. And they had their own organization. Each Curia had their own Curio, which was the leader of the Curia, and he conducted some rituals. But they also had their own Flamen, which was the priest, and he was the assistant to the Curio. And each Curia had its own assembly hall. And all of the 30 Curiae together had one leader, which was Curio Maximus. Now we are coming to Fornacalia. That is one of the festivals when the members of Curia gathered in their own assembly halls and celebrated Fornax. This festival was simple. It was a simple banquet. It was not lavish.
But was it competitive?
No, it was not competitive. It was not a competition for
the best bread of the community.
No, but they could have done that. That would be smart, actually.
Yeah.
But they baked bread in the assembly hall, and they also toasted spelt
as a sacrifice to the goddess.
As the sacrifice to the goddess and as a sacrifice to the oven. So they either baked the bread in the assembly hall, or each family brought their own bread.
Oh, convenient.
And that was the part where they could have selected the best bread, but they missed the opportunity.
Yeah.
And because this was a movable festival, Curio Maximus announced when it will begin. And if you didn't know which Curia you belonged to, you could still participate on the last day of this festival, which was Quirinalia, the Feast of Fools. And on that day, all the members of all the Curiae gathered at the assembly hall of all the 30 Curiae to feast.
And our last deity is Libitina, the goddess of funerals, corpses, and death. And she was also protector of undertakers, which were called Libitinari in the ancient Rome.
She had her shrine in a sacred grove on an Esquiline hill, where a coin was deposited whenever someone died. So this was also a way to track the deaths, to record them. And this was not only place of her shrine, but also the office of the undertakers. And Libitina was also the name for the business of the undertakers and for the funeral equipment, but also a poetic word for death.
So let me book one Libitina.
Do you want death, or you want equipment, or you want to start a business?
For undertaking business, I will need one Libitina. So in her temple, everything you needed for a funeral was there.
And you could buy it or you could hire it. And that tax, the coin that was paid whenever someone died, was introduced by Servius Tullius, the 6th king of Rome. And that recording of deaths was actually a pretty useful thing, because now we know that in the year 65 AD, when there was a plague, 30,000 Romans died. So these gods might have seemed weird at the beginning of the story, but when you hear the whole story, they kind of make sense.
And there will be more of this.
Absolutely, the list is never ending.
Thank you for watching this video.
And you know what to do, like, subscribe, share, send to all, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye!
Bye.